Hey, we made it to another Form Check Friday. Let's do it. Hey guys, welcome back to another Form Check Friday. The screen looks a little different this time, and it's because I want to try a new segment at the beginning of this episode. I may do it if you guys enjoy it at the beginning of every episode, or I may just spin it off into a separate YouTube video. But what I thought was I would take a couple minutes and just tell you about what's going on with my training. Part of the reason is selfish. I need some accountability. I train by myself, and I have found over time when I have people who are, expecting to see what I've been up to, I train a little bit harder. I push myself a little bit more. So that's one of the reasons I figured I would hold myself accountable to you guys. And then the other thing is you guys can learn from what I'm doing, and I can explain some of the reasons that I'm making programming tweaks or trying new things. And it may be beneficial. So we'll try it this episode. And if you guys like it, please put a comment below or post on the Reddit or something and just let me know that you thought it was worthwhile. And if you think it's stupid, then just let me know and we'll cut it and focus entirely on your form checks. Either way, I'm happy to do this stuff, and but I figured we'd try something new. So as you can see on the screen, I have from my training log my squat performance starting all the way back in April. And there's a reason for this. And the reason is that last night I hit a set of 5 with 405, which is something that I've been trying to do for a while. So let me move this thing out of the way if I can. I'll put that over here. And this is just last night in my gym. And I'll just prove it to you that that I actually did it. I've been working on getting back to 405 for a couple of weeks, or actually a couple of months now, and I'm going to explain kind of what's been going on. I guess I could do my own form check. First 2 were okay, and then I start lifting my chest a little early. That one was okay, but you can see the hip drive is decreasing with every rep. Actually a little bit more there, and then this last one is a grinder. You'll see I kick my head back, which I'm always getting on you guys for, and I just stick and then just do whatever I can to get it up. But I really wanted to hit 5 with 405 again, and I finally got it last night. So let me take you through what I've been doing and kind of explain what's been going on with my training. So I had a really good run training wise starting back, I guess, before April. And you can see, I can control this with my phone. So you can see that April 7th, I'd hit 420 for a triple. So I'd been working up, and every couple sessions, I was finally hitting 5. And so that was great. And I was happy with my performance. And then just to give you some context here, I squat heavy every other week. So I'm following the lower body program for Radically Simple Muscle, which is my new ebook. And most of you, I assume, have picked it up. If not, you can. It's on my website at HORNSTRENGTH.com. There's a link to it. There's me shirtless and the new ebook. It's all about hypertrophy. I've talked about this before. And it's more of a bodybuilding focused program. But the lower body and like the strength work, which I consider to be mainly the squat and deadlift, the frequency on this program is very reduced because for a number of reasons I explained in talking about the book. I felt beat up, and I really wanted to put my strength training on the back burner and just focus on hypertrophy stuff. So I could look like this for 20 seconds while I took a photo. So the way the program works, it alternates heavy and light squats. So you squat heavy one week. I don't need that. And then you squat and you do a lighter deadlift, and then the following week you flip it. So you squat, you do light squats on the second week, and you do heavy deadlifts, and they just alternate. And that space has really allowed me to push. I felt recovered. I didn't feel injured, and it's allowed me to have a good run and push my squat and deadlift up into PR territory. So you can see here, but let me just back up here. It was going great, and then it wasn't, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I hit 420 for a triple. The previous week I hit 415 for 5. And then you can see I have the lower body day here where I just did 365 for 3. I assume I just had a bad day and felt like 3 was it. Sometimes after you hit a new PR, the next workout, you're just still recovering and it's kind of a grind. So I was happy with 420 and so just did 365 for 3. And then I went back to, and then, so that was April 14th. Very shortly after that, I believe the next day or the day after, I tweaked my back. And I had probably the worst back injury I've ever had. And I was just laid out. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sit. I mean, I was miserable. And so that was the end of my run into doing really well with I think I got my deadlifts up to like 475 for a couple reps, and then it just all got taken away. But that's how this works, right? So you can see April 14th, and then the next time I squatted was the 28th because I couldn't do it. I was working like just 135, maybe if that hurt too much. But my back healed up, and I finally felt like, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to push and see if I can get, see how close I can get to where I left off. Mentally, I had it in my head that I'm not going below 405. I worked really hard to get there, and that was my number. Like, I am not going to go below 405. So even if it's for a single, that's fine, whatever. It'll keep me from detraining. And this is something I tell all my clients when they get hurt or when they take a break is like, you've got to get back as close as you can, as quickly as you can. So rather than do, a set of 5 at like 365, I would rather do 1 rep at 405 because it's closer to where I left off. And then the next time, as you'll see, I'm getting closer to being back on track versus the tendency most people have, which is I'm hurt and I can only do 5 at a much lower weight. Well, then you just keep detraining further and further. The longer you stay away from where you were after a break or an injury, the more you're going to detrain to that weight. So you have to get back just to handling that load so you can, it's not that you lost a bunch of muscle tissue. It doesn't go away that quickly if you're active, not necessarily lifting, just active. But the neuromuscular system detrains quickly. And so the longer you avoid going back up to heavy weight, the more you adapt to the lighter weight. And then you're just set back way further than you need to be. So this is one of the lessons I've learned over many years of doing this is like, get back as close as you can in terms of intensity, as quickly as you can. And just, even if it's only 1 rep, fine. It's better than being at a lighter weight. So I just, in my head, I said, look, I'm coming off a back tweak. 405 is my limit for how low I'm going to go. And I did the same thing with the deadlift. I was up at like 470, 475, and I was like 455. That's it. I'm not going below 455, even if it's for 1 rep. So I'm working my way back up in April, 405 for 1. Then I did some back offsets just to get some extra volume in because I'd taken time off. And then you can see what happens after that, which is, so then I had my light day down here where I just did some volume at 85%, something like that. And then I tried again on my heavy day and I got 2 reps. Okay. So now we're going like every other week, 2 reps. And then I did a back off. And then I went and did my volume day again, or my light day, which was instead, you can see here in May 5th, I did 2 sets at 345 and then 1 set at 315. This time I decided, all right, I'm going to do all 3 sets at 85%. See what that does the next time. So the next time, 405 for 3, right? So now I'm down here. So I'm adding a rep. Now we're into end of May. It's been a month. The light day, I decided, okay, I expected to hit 5 by now with 405. So let me bump up the intensity of the back off set. So 365 here is a 90%. And then I did an 85% back off. And I wanted to see what that did. And it got me the same thing the following week, 405 for a triple. And then I bumped my back off a little bit just to see if that would do anything. So I'm just experimenting, trying to get that 405 by 5. And then you can see we keep moving on. Now we're into July. There was travel here. I went back to LA. I was out of my routine. I was in a different gym, and then I went to New York. So there's some interruptions in the training. During that time, I didn't even log my workouts. I just tried to maybe squat as heavy as I could. Back in Idaho in my home gym, home turf, I got a triple at 405 again. So I'm stuck at 405 by 3. So then I decided, all right, I'm going to cut my back offs. I'm going to lower the intensity of my back off set, 2 sets at 85%, and see what that does. And it got me 405 by 3 again. So I'm just like stuck there. And then the July 20th, so last week, or the last time I had a light day, I said, all right, you know what? I'm cutting all the volume. I was feeling tired. I was feeling run down. I just kind of felt shitty. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to do more than 1 set on my light day. I don't have any gas today. So I'm going to just do 1 set at 90% and see what that does. Just drastic cut in volume. But I did bump the intensity a little bit last week and came into the gym last night feeling pretty good. I also bumped up my carb intake because I realized while I was trying to finish up the book and just super busy all day, I didn't really have time to eat lunch. So I would just have like a protein shake with water. And I thought, I'm tired all the time. I'm feeling fatigued. I don't feel good in the gym. I don't feel like working out. So let me see if I can bump my carb intake. So I started making sure I ate lunch, more rice, more oatmeal. And I'm actually going to I might do another video about diet changes because I've tweaked my diet a little bit and I think it might be helpful for you guys. But I felt better last night. And went in and hit 405 for 5. So just the moral here, the same thing happened with my deadlift. It was I was stuck at like 1 or 2 reps, 3 reps, week after week. And I played with the volume and the intensity of the lighter day and just kept trying the weight again. So this is the lesson that, again, and I've said this before, but this is one of the things that really has stuck with me and been one of the things that I wish I knew when I was a younger trainee, which is, just try again. If you have a good program, if it's reasonable, if it's logical, and it's worked for you in the past, don't change anything. Just try the weight again. And, I always say 3 times you should make an attempt, but honestly, I tried this, 5 or 6 times before I finally got it. And I've had this same experience with almost every lift. It's like, try it again, make smart decisions about how you manipulate volume and intensity. Do you need to try and push it more by adding more back offsets? Do you need to cut some of the volume by cutting back offsets or just going down to 1 back offset? And then watching what happens in subsequent weeks. So it was a lot of trial and error. It didn't work. But this last week, it finally worked. And so now next week, we're going to go to 410 and I'm going to start the process over and try and get past try and hit that 420 for 5. That's my new goal. And the same thing on the deadlift, try and play with the variables on the light day and bumping up the calories a little bit and seeing if I can crack 475 for 5. And, I'll keep you guys posted. So that's really what's been going on with me. I've got a shoulder injury right now that it's just pissed off. It's been pissed off for about a month. And so I'm making some adjustments, trying not to piss it off more after making an attempt to train through it and just ignore it. That didn't work. So now I'm adopting the do no harm mindset where I'm just eliminating anything that aggravates my shoulder, doing some lacrosse ball stuff in my armpit and my pec. I've stopped overhead pressing for a while because it just seems to piss it off. Lateral raises seem to piss it off. Something in the AC joint, it's very crunchy. And I ordered some jammer arms or lever arms that attach to my squat rack so I can load that with plates and see if I can get a much more controlled bench press. Unracking and racking the bench press seems to aggravate it. So I'll post some stuff, maybe some videos about that, and I'll keep you guys updated. Maybe, like I said, we'll do this at the beginning. I'll just give you a quick rundown for 15 minutes or so, or maybe less. And if you know, I timestamp all this stuff, so you can always skip it. But let me know if you thought this was helpful. If not, we'll just go back to form checks. Speaking of form checks, it's time to do your form checks. So let me get rid of this guy and let me bring in Form Check Friday. Here we go. All right. So thank you guys, as always, for posting, submitting. Let me turn my phone off here so that's not a distraction. And let's get into this. Okay. So as you guys know, I haven't seen any of these. So we're going through this. I think we've got 5 or 6 today. And let's see who's up first. All right. So Paul, worked on your advice again last week, and that was depth, pause squats, focusing on setting the upper back. Hard for me to tell how good of a job I've done with this. That's fine. I'll take a look. Rather than overextending the low back, correct, and using a belt and more pushing the knees out. I'm sure there's more to it, or there's more to do, but I'm starting to feel just how hard I need to shove the knees out. Everything feels better with pushing out harder. Yes, people don't understand what I mean, especially a lot of my trainees, when I yell at them to shove their knees out, it's just like it doesn't register. And then that's really the thing that taught me how to yell in the gym. It was out of pure frustration. My coach, Ripito, always used to scream at people, and I never understood why. I always thought, like, that's so unnecessary. And you realize, like, when people have weight on their back, they can't hear you. They get real stupid. And so he would yell. And after, trying to help a client and cue them to shove their knees out and them just, like, not doing it, I just lost it one night and screamed as loud as I could. And it scared the shit out of them. And all of a sudden their knees went out 3 more inches, and their squat was perfect. And they looked and I said, yeah. They said, oh, you want me to shove my knees out? I'm like, I've been telling you to shove your knees out for 6 weeks. They're like, no, you said shove your knees out, but what you meant was, like, shove your knees out. It's like, okay, whatever. Yes, shove your knees out. So leaning over and shoving the knees out are really the 2 main issues that people resist when you cue them. You can shove them out harder than you think you should, and almost everybody needs to push them out as hard as they can. Occasionally you get really flexible people that don't, but most of the people do not shove their knees out hard enough. So let's take a look and see how the pause squats look, and then we'll see how your normal squats look. All right, let me just get rid of the volume here so it's not a distraction. Okay, here we go. Now, just as an aside for some of you who are joining for the first time, we've talked about this before, but this gentleman has some sort of wide angle lens on his camera. And so it looks like his stance is much closer than it actually is. So we've talked about this, I'm aware of it, but I just want to clarify that his stance actually does not look like that in reality. So, okay, let's take a look at the pause squats. Upper back looks good. Depth. Okay, so that wasn't a pause. You were actually moving the whole time there. You just slowed down a lot. And there we go. Much better. Okay. Let's see the upper back. Good. Okay. Watch that head. It's still kicking back a little bit. Keep it down like that. Down the whole time. Too high. There it is. Okay, so you're kind of finding depth here, which is what we want. Your gut is that depth is there, and it's actually a little lower than that. So that's the whole point of this exercise, is that as you go down and you realize, I'm not at depth yet, I can go lower. The next rep, your goal is to get there right away without pausing. So that first rep is kind of a wash because it's the first one, no big deal. But you kind of just descend the whole time. Like, you're still going down, 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 down. And then when you hit it, you pop up. The next rep, you're going to fix this, and you're going to go all the way down, and you're going to pause. Beautiful. And hips up. I mean, much, much better squat. So the upper back looks better here. And again, this fisheye lens or whatever may be distorting your knee angle. It looks, the knees are still coming in a little bit. Occasionally we do get people who sort of push them out wide on the way down, and then they kind of come in more to where they should be. In other words, they push them out too far on the way down, and then they slide into where they want to be, or the right position at the bottom. So that may be happening with you. In other words, I'm saying that your knee position, even though they're coming in, they might be coming into the right place. As long as when you look down, your knee, your quad right here and your knee is directly in line with your toe, right? They just look perfectly like this and not like this, or not, if this is your foot and this is your knee, not like this, askew. Then if they're lined up perfectly, then you should be good to go here. You're still like, so you notice like every rep, you get down and you kind of stop, and then you go a little bit deeper. So you have to just commit to, it's deeper than I think it is, and overdo it. Just go too deep. Like, try and go too deep. Try and go so deep you think if I was standing behind you, I'd be like, whoa, man, that is way too deep. Pull it up a little bit. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you will hit the right spot, because what you think is correct depth is not. So you have to do it wrong. It has to feel wrong until that becomes right. That becomes the thing that you associate as being correct, okay? But for a while, you have to let it feel like you're going deeper than you should. Just do that. If it doesn't feel too deep, if it feels right, you didn't go deep enough. If it feels too deep, that's going to be the correct thing. So make it feel too deep in your head. Okay, overall, these are great. I want to see your, much better than last time. I want to see your regular squats, because what happened last time when I gave you this assignment was you had great pause squats, and then everything went to shit on your regular squats. You started rounding your back. You did the whole thing like that. So let's take a look and see how if these are the same. What I'm looking for is similar to what we saw on the pause squat. Okay. Watch your head. Okay, so the hip drive's kind of quiet there, but let's give you the whole set before I make. Oh, there we go. Upper back looks much depth is good, hip drive's good. Your back looks amazing compared to before. You're not arching it on the way down, you're arching it before you go down, which is why the whole thing is smoother. Okay, so couple little details here, but before, I just want you to know this is like night and day from what I've seen from you up until now. So excellent work persisting and implementing those corrections, because like this is a fantastic squat. Okay, couple details that are going to help you dial this in even more. And one of those things is your head position still looks a little bit up, and for you in particular, looking almost straight down is going to help balance everything out and make this a lot smoother. So I want you to put your eyes like right here. I mean, I want you basically looking between your toes, right in the middle, and just almost straight down the entire time. Just, you can take a little piece of chalk or take one of your fractional plates and literally put it on the ground between your toes. Okay, right in the middle of your stance, right here. And just stare at that thing the whole time. I promise you, it will improve your hip drive and it'll improve your balance through the entire set. And it lets you watch with your peripheral vision and see if your knees cave in. Because if you're looking at the wall, you can't see your knees. But if you're looking straight down, you'll see them move in. And it's a little mental cue. Hey, I just saw them move in. I got to shove them back out. Okay. So eyes like even more straight down. Okay. You can even think about looking back at your heels a little bit. That might help. I don't recommend that for everybody, but for a guy with your particular set of issues, looking even further back might be a good idea just to try it. Okay. That's number one, head position and eye gaze. And then number two is I think I want you leaning over a little bit faster. So let's watch your back angle. You see, I mean, you're kind of fishing for the right thing, but you're not. Let me see if I can diagram this for you so you know what I'm talking about. So if we go to the bottom of your rep, right, and we look at your back angle, great depth, by the way, fantastic. Look at your upper back. You see those wrinkles in your t-shirt right here. I mean, that's what we want. But you had that the entire time. This is so good. So good. And your depth is like, I mean, look at that. You're nailing it. So if this is your back angle here, right? If we think about this angle right there, and this line isn't going to stick around, but see how leaned over you are right here? Now, if we go back to that, let me back up. That is the correct back angle for you. That back angle that you get into at the bottom when you're balanced, that is the right back angle, okay? And so what we want is for you to get to set that angle as quickly as you can when you start the rep. Like just, it's the same thing with your knees. You want your knees, like by the halfway point, your knees are where they need to be, forward and out, and then they're done. It's the same thing with your back. By the time you're halfway down, you should be as leaned over as you're ever gonna be, okay? And you're taking a little bit too long to lean over, okay? And so that means that as you're going down to the bottom, you're still like establishing your back position. And all of that adds extra movement to the lift when we just want like this mechanical, systematized, like robotic movement, okay? So we want as few variables as possible. So if we look at how long it takes you to get that leaned over, let's see. So you're not there yet. You're still leaning over. And right about there, you hit it. So you're just a little late, okay? And it's totally understandable because I've given you like a million things to think about, but you're taking just a little longer than I want for you to set that back angle. So all you need to do this next time is keep doing exactly what you're doing. Just try and lean over a little bit more aggressively. Just commit to it. Like right as soon as you start the rep, point your nipples, like look down at the floor and point your nipples down to the floor as soon as you can. So that by the halfway point, your back angle's set, your knees are set, you're locked in, you're good to go. And then all you have to worry about is reaching back with the hips and driving back up. Okay? Work on that stuff. 2 minor things, eye position and just leaning over a little bit faster. Overall, like home run, man. Excellent, excellent work. And I'm excited to see how high you can take this now that we've got the form dialed in. So thank you for the post. Thank you for your hard work. And we'll keep going. All right, man. We'll see you next time. Okay. Neil. Let's see what Neil has to say. I'm still trying to figure out my squat form, particularly arching my back. Based on your most recent feedback, I think I'm moving in the right direction. Would appreciate any additional advice. Okay, Neil, let's check you out and see what we're doing here. So now Neil has a pretty wide stance, and I think we're okay with that because, like, yeah, he can get depth very easily here. So let's watch a couple of these. No hip drive on that one. No, 0 hip drive, lifting the head a little bit. Okay. You've got the depth like nailed. Your depth is great, but okay. So Neil, my man, this is good news for you actually, because you have a ton of untapped strength that you can tap into because you're not using your hips at all. You are coming straight up out of the bottom. You're missing hip drive, okay? And this is like the most important part of this. When I look at you from the bottom of the rep, and I'll pause it so we can, okay, so here you are at the bottom, right? What I'm looking for when you start driving up is this. I'm watching your butt. I'm watching your low back right here. And what I want to see is this come up first. Okay? So I should see if this is your butt and this is your chest, it should do that. Okay? Not that extreme, just a little pop, but your ass should move up first. That tells me you initiated the push for the ascent here at the hips. What I should not see is your shoulders lift, because that's lifting your chest. Lifting your chest means you're not driving your hips. This is where the power is. This is where the juice is. Okay? This, you can squat like that, but you're killing your hip drive. Okay, you're making this a quad exercise, and you're leaving out all the muscles of the posterior chain. Your glutes, your hamstrings, your adduct, they want to help. You're like, no, I'm just gonna quad this up. And maybe I've said this before, like maybe you're a cyclist, like cyclists, guys who, cycling is very quad heavy. There's no like hamstring with pedaling. So they love to just like use their quads. They just defer to their quads. You're a thin guy, maybe you're a cyclist, maybe I've said that before. Regardless. Okay, the other thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see these two things move up at the exact same time, right? I should see this move first a little, and then this should lock in. So after that initial push, then this back angle locks in, and for 3/4 of the rep, this back angle doesn't change. It's constant, but it shouldn't be constant right out of the bottom. This should pop first because that means you got to bounce and you drove your ass up. Now watch, okay? Pay attention to here, your shoulders, and here, your hips. And what you're gonna see is that and that move up perfectly, which is not what we want, okay? So I'm hitting play, you watch your back angle and pay particular attention to your shoulders and your upper back. See? Well, we'll watch it again. That whole segment, hips and shoulders, perfect. In fact, your shoulders are leading a little bit. Okay, you'll watch it. You lift your chest a little bit. That one was perfectly even. Okay, so you have to pop the butt up. You have to use your hips. This is the only thing that's really wrong with your squat. Let me see if I can find a video of some hip drive for you so you can see. All right, this is one of my clients, and he just like had great hip drive. So we're gonna watch his butt, okay? So watch his hips. He's gonna go down to the bottom, and he's gonna see how his ass pops up, right? Look at his butt, boom. You see it pop, okay? And then the angle locks back in. But you know that he pushed his ass up out of the bottom. Okay, now don't take this too far and get that off my face and push your ass up and drop your chest, because the bar will roll over your head. You'll get on your toes. You'll dump the bar over your head. It's just a little push here that shows me you started the drive up here, okay? That is what you're missing. The rest of it looks good. You're hitting depth. Your grip's good. Your back's tight. Everything looks solid. It's just you're not using hip drive. And the beauty of this is when you do, it's going to feel easier because you're using more muscle and it's going to shoot up. So you'll know, like when you start doing this, you're not going to do it all perfectly. You're going to do, maybe in a set of 5, you'll do 2 with hip drive, and you're going to be like, whoa, those were way faster. And then you're going to do one that just like, it's like you come up and it just feels way harder. That's the one where you lifted your chest or you didn't use your hip drive. Okay, so just like I told the guy before you in this video, exaggerate it. Do too much hip drive. Like do so much hip drive, you think I'm gonna be like, that's Neil, that's way too much hip drive. Rein it in, brother. That will be the correct amount. Okay, so it's gonna feel like you're just shoving your ass up too much. I don't care, humor me. And then watch your video and look at the bar speed. And look at the bar speed on the one that felt like you did too much hip drive. I promise you it will be faster than the rest of the reps. Okay? Hip drive. Your ass leads you out of the bottom. You can think about I'm standing right behind you and I'm holding on to your waistband, right? And I'm just pulling straight up out of the bottom. Like I'm just yanking your ass up. It also helps sometimes to think about under here, the bottom of your pelvis, right? Pushing that up. Okay, like if I just went right under and grabbed you under your ass right here with my hands, and I do this in the gym all the time, and I just threw your ass up real hard. You would do that. That's what I want, okay? So Not necessarily an easy fix, but a simple fix. Use your hips, man. You got a lot of power in there. And when you do, you're going to crush these weights. Okay. So work on that. Show me a video next time with hip drive. Okay. If you don't see your ass pop up noticeably before anything else, don't post the video because I'm going to say the same shit. Okay. Show me a video, and I don't care if it's at lighter weight. Show me a video where your butt leads you out of the bottom. Okay. And then we'll work on if there's anything else, which I don't think there is because these look great. All right. Keep going, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, brother. Next up, Dick. Oh, okay, Dick is back. Now, we've been working on Dick's squat for a while. I've given him some homework, so we've got a couple videos to check out here. Let's see. I've been practicing putting it all together. My main homework was to keep up the pause squats and then try incorporating normal squats into the warm-ups, but thinking of them as if they were pause squats without a pause. Exactly. Also trying to keep my head more neutral, think this is less successful, and not dropping my chest when I start the ascent. Yes, you had this thing where your head was like ducking underneath you and you were like looking between your legs on the way up. Okay, so we're gonna rip through these. First link is the bar for pause squats. So let's see here. Oh God, it's just like went in my eye. Ugh. Okay. All right. Here we go. So we got an empty bar. We're going to look at these pause squats. This was a homework assignment. So, all right. With the socks, always fashionable. Okay. Head looked good. See if there we go. Still high. Yep, get down there, man. You're on your toes. Okay. Look, and look, you're trying to find the bottom. So you know what? Let's just keep going because maybe you're going to find it on the next one, which is the goal here. That if it didn't feel right, you correct it on the next one. See how your knee is slowly sliding forward? Better. Okay, let me see if this happens on the next one before I comment on it. Yeah, you can even, now I know this is lightweight, but you can even see, oh, here we go. Now you're just like doing it. Better. Those look good. Oh, okay. So here's the thing on these, on like almost every one of these, you got too much weight on the balls of your feet. And that's the main problem. You're not sitting back onto your heels enough. So let me go back and show you what I mean. If I can pause this when you go down to the bottom. Okay. So you're like almost at depth, right? You're kind of here. And but you can see like there's even like it looks like there's even some space under your heels. But everything's kind of going this way. And that's the first part of the rep. The second part of the rep is sitting back this way. So if you were in this position and I was coaching you live, I would tell you before I let you come back up, I would say, rock back on your heels a little bit. Kind of like in a deadlift, when you set up for a deadlift and you shift back on your heels. You don't need to change any angles. All you need to do is take the weight you got too much weight here and put more of it here. And it's just a matter of like, it's a matter of like shifting 1 inch back. Okay. So you're like here, and then you just rock back just a tiny bit, right? So if I'm mimicking your thigh, I just want you to sit back a little bit like that. I mean, it's like the subtlest shift. It makes all the difference in the world here because you just have a little bit too much weight on the toes. So make it feel like there's too much weight on your heels at the bottom. I don't want even for you. I want heel dominant at the bottom because we're overcorrecting. Let me see a couple more of these and see if I can. The rest of it looks real good, man. Like you stopped yourself a little bit high. Okay. So right here, this is the moment. here where you stop thinking about leaning over and knees out and you start thinking about sitting back into the bottom. So you're here, right? And maybe like this. And as you go down, you're not just going to go down like this. You're going to go down and back. Okay. So you're kind of going down and almost a little forward, which is why you're not hitting depth, because everything just kind of, the knee angle closes more, but the hip kind of stays up and you get lower, but you don't break parallel with your hip crease. So instead of going down this way, you're going to be in this position and you're going to go down and back. You're going to sit down and put more weight on your heels. But if you get down there, this is the beauty of the pause squat. If you get down here and you go, I don't feel like I'm back enough. I feel like I'm a little forward, or I can't definitively say that I've got weight on my heels here. If you can't say that, then in that pause, do the little shift. Just shift back a little bit so that you absolutely know there is more weight on your heels than there was before. Feel that and come back up. And then the next rep, try and go right to that point without having to shift around like that. It's just like you just hit it right off the bat. Now, when you start, the rest of it is good for now. Now, when you start doing your regular reps, see, that was a great example. Okay, see if I can get that rep again. Did I miss it? Okay, look. Watch this rep and watch your knees at the bottom, because you're going to go down and pause and you're going to see your knees move forward as you pause. Okay, pay attention to your knee right here. See it kind of creeping forward a little bit? That's the opposite of what should happen. It should go, if anything, you should be sitting back more. So this is why I know that you've got too much weight on your toes, because you're still creeping forward. See, you're trying to, I'm like hammering you here, man. The depth, you're getting close to the bottom and you're going like, okay, I'm not deep enough. And so you just collapse forward and you feel like, okay, I just went down another inch. But it's not the right way to go down. You drop the hip, you finish sitting down and you drop your hip crease below the top of your kneecap. That's the depth. This is lower, but the hip crease doesn't change. So you're getting the sensation of depth, but you're not actually hitting depth. Don't squat into your knees, sit back into your hip, and you'll break parallel. Let me mark it for you if I can. Okay. So you got this, excuse my line, and this thing right here just needs to go boop down here. Okay. Which means you will look like this. Let's exaggerate it. You will look like Jesus. That's like way too much. You get the idea. It's not this angle. If I drop a marble here on your thigh, it's going this way for sure. If I drop a marble and you're at depth like this, that's a little better. It's going this way. It should be clear that the marble rolls towards your hip, not this angle right here. Okay? All right. So we got even more to cover with you. And I think you'd start doing a pretty good job when you stop doing pause squats. Like I think you sit back a little bit. That was depth, but you're going back to like not leaning over. Okay. All right. I want to see those with weight. So we're going to move on and see your pause. We'll look at this one. And this is going to be a long video. Okay. All right. So now we got some weight. And here we go. Okay. Let's see if the weight cleans any of this up for you. Oh, there. Okay. Okay. Better. So now it's maybe a little more obvious. Less sliding forward, more sitting back here. Back. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let me see if I can pause that one for you. Yeah, right there. I think I kind of got it. But you see, you stopped at your normal place, and then normally you'd go forward, and you dropped it down a little bit lower, which is what we want. It just took you a second, right? Because you're trying to break a bad habit of going forward. There we go. Ooh, let's look at the depth on that one. If I can get it. Yo, okay. Now we're talking, my man. See that? Right there? That marble is rolling this way for sure. If I put it right here, okay? That's what we want. This right here is where you want to be at the bottom. Okay? Let's watch, see how these go. Better, much better. Okay, so you're nailing the depth on all these now. Okay, all right. So even though the pause squats were a little funky, when you started speeding up, it actually got better. All right, so let's look at a work set here. All right. Okay, I'm getting nervous. Come on, Dick. Let's see it. Nope. Okay, it took too long to lean over, but depth was good. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Come on. Lean. Okay. Dude, so probably the best set I've seen you do. And the main reason is that the scoop is gone. Your hips are not doing that circular thing where they shoot back. And that's been the thing we've been trying to fix. So first reaction here is great work. Okay. This is like very clean. The only issue, which is minor and something I already talked about in like the first or second form check of this video, is you're not leaning over fast enough. So you're taking too long to set your back angle. Okay. You're hesitating, trying to come down with a vertical back angle, and then you're kind of leaning over a little bit later, which we've talked about before. That was part of the scooping thing. But let me watch again. And you can see it big time on the first one, but that's okay. First rep, you're allowed to kind of feel it out. So you're just gonna hold on to that vertical back angle a little too long. And see, now you're leaning over. And no hip drive on that one because you're still too up. Better. Okay, I think the third one is where you commit more to leaning over. Yeah. And see the hip drive, right? Yes. Okay, Dick. Like right before your vacation, you get this dialed in. 3 through 5, or I don't. Did you do 6? I don't know. Whatever the last 3 were great. And the only difference between those ones and the other ones was that you committed to setting that back angle and getting as more horizontal earlier in the rep. So dive for the damn floor. Just take a big breath, lean over more than you want to, sooner than you want to, shove your knees out harder than you want to, and then just do the pause squat thing. The pause squat without the pause. Because the rest of it is great. There's no scooping anymore. I want to look at your knees on those last reps and just see what's going on there, because I didn't even pay attention to them. I don't think I need to because I think they're good. But let me watch your knees. Yes, no knee slide. They're not even shooting back, which again ties into, yeah. See, when the knees shoot back, you get that circuit. It's all tied together, right? The knees go back, the hips go back, and it's gone. You nailed it. You killed it, brother. ugh. I'm so stoked right now. Okay. Excellent job. Here's the deal. I think you said, so yeah, just lean over more. That's it. Just more horizontal sooner. End of story. Crushed it. Let's get to 405. Now, I didn't even finish reading what you had to say. So appreciate and understand you may not have time to look all three. Well, we already did. Grateful for the feedback and perseverance. Hey, you're home run, man. And you probably won't hear from me for a while now as I'm going on holiday, praying I don't forget everything by the time I come back. Here's the cool part about vacations. And this is like a weird thing that happens more often than not. Guys who are, and I hope this doesn't happen with you because you just kind of fixed it, but many times I've had clients who were struggling and stuck in this like really incorrect movement pattern. Like they're just locked in it and we're like trying and they can't break out of it. And then they take like a long vacation and they come back and it's like the software reset and they come back and their squats are like perfect. And all of the stuff we've been working on is like, they're just nailing it. And they don't think anything's different, but it's like the break helped their brain let go of these bad habits and just kind of start fresh. And they come back with like a cleaner squat. Happens all the time. So this vacation might be a blessing, although like I said, you just did dial it in, but it's probably not like embedded yet. So I think when you come back, you know, you've got a good shot at just clean slate. And if not, we know we can get you here again. So have a great trip, enjoy it. Don't stress about training. Know that your last squat session was like, you got it. And I'm super proud and I'm happy that you stuck with it and didn't get too frustrated. I'm sure it was annoying, but this form check video's had a lot of like, this has been a good one because we've got you and the first guy, like you guys have come a long way. So great work. And, you know, we'll see you on the Reddit threads and I'm sure we'll see another form check video when you get back. So have a great trip. Okay, let's move on. We got two more. Okay. All right. DarkZonk. All right. Here I am again with my squat, switch to thumbs around, no elbow pain at all, which is good. If you're having elbow pain, just for people who are joining us, if you're getting tendonitis in the elbows, the first switch is go from a thumbs on top grip to a thumbs around grip. And that usually eliminates the insult, which lets the injury heal. It's like the easiest fix. And it sounds like it worked. So happy to hear that. I tried to work on leaning over more, but it feels somewhat weird. Feels like I'm not getting the depth anymore. Also not happy with my balance yet, but that might be a matter of practice and getting used to the new bar positioning. Okay, let's take a look. 105 for 8. Okay, I'll just go right here. It's a cool gym. Very cool. I like the brick. All right, let's see here. Pretty good. Whew, slow. Okay, look at this. So here's a great example of why you need to control your speed into the bottom. That second rep, you just dropped into the bottom. And in order to fall, this is on every lift. People do this on the bench press all the time. They just drop the bar on their chest. In order for you to fall that quickly, you have to loosen up all the muscles you're trying to keep tight. You are not falling into the bottom and then getting tight and you got to think about this like you're stretching into the bottom. When you bench press, you don't think about just, I'm going to bounce the bar off my rib cage. You think I'm pulling back and stretching and I'm loading these muscles like I'm going to fire a bow and arrow or a slingshot. And then I explode up, right? If I just drop the bar, in order to drop the bar on my chest, I have to be loose. Well, once you're loose, you can't tighten that anymore, right? You got to tighten it from the top, right? And then you can use that stretch and that hard contraction to explode up. But to fall that fast, you have to loosen up everything that you want to. Like if you go look up some powerlifting meets of like elite powerlifters and watch how slowly they take the barbell down. And the reason is, one, they're trying to stretch everything out, and two, they're trying to make sure that they don't have any random movement in their lift. Because if you're squatting 1,000 pounds and that bar gets like half an inch forward of the middle of your foot, you're done. Like that's so much leverage at that weight. You're not coming back up, especially if it's a 1 rep max attempt. Now and you'll see what I mean here, because when you dive into that second rep, you fall and then you bounce forward and your heels lift up off the ground. So the bar goes like boom, like that, because it's just chaos. So this is your first rep, which isn't that bad. Like that's an okay cadence, but watch your heels right now. Boom, you see? Because you're just dropping. Wait, and then like I'm looking at your heels the whole time. Look, see, they're lifting up like every time. Okay, you got better after that. So you're kind of dialing it in here. Now that one, oh man, okay, look at your left heel. Watch your left heel. See that? Boop. Okay. Yeah. So here's the deal. Slow down. Slow and controlled on the way down. You need to be evaluating where your weight is. And if you're just dropping the bar, you can't tell. You can't detect the bar path. You can't detect those shifts in the pressure on your foot. Slow and controlled on the way down, fast and explosive on the way up. Slow and controlled on the way down, fast and explosive on the way up. Okay? Every rep. You need to control it. Controlled aggression here. Like, you don't get so amped up that your reps get sloppy. You need to know when to unleash the beast. And it's not on the way down. You don't have to worry about, you don't need to be pumped up for the way down. Gravity takes care of that. You need to be fired up after the bounce, right? So if you let it go down, pull it down slowly, stretch into the bottom. Don't fall into the bottom. Then let the bounce happen automatically. You don't need any psych for that. Once you start to feel your hips come up, then you turn it on. Then you hit the nitrous button on the car, right? Just boom, and you go. And you drive the hell out of it up to the top with aggression. But you've got to know how to surgically deploy that aggression. Because especially if you have a set of 8 and you're just like amped up the entire time, by 8, you're exhausted. Mentally, you're just out of psych. Rather, every rep, you get a little reset. So, think about like a meter, like a health meter in like a video game, right? So you're like full green bars on the way down, and then you hit the bounce and the meter starts to come down because you're using your psych up, your power, your fire there. And then you get to the top and you lock out and you hold it, and that green bar starts to recharge. Now you're full again. Now you take it down, right? And then boom, it comes down a little bit as you use some of your juice to fire up, and you come to the top and you lock out and you get zen for a second and you retighten everything and you let that life bar kind of, hope you're a video gamer because like this is not gonna make any sense, but you let your energy replenish and then you start the next rep and it depletes a little bit, right? That way you've got green bars, you've got all that juice by the end of the set. Versus if you're just like psyched up and aggressive from the moment you unrack the bar, you got nothing. By rep 5, you're toast. Okay. So let me see if I notice anything else here. Okay. That's one thing. The other thing is you got to keep that. So part of this is now that once you slow everything down, you've got to stay off your toes. You are driving up and forward every time. And part of it, like I said, is because of this random movement from dropping too quickly and then trying to retighten. You're going down and forward, which is why your heels are lifting up. So mid-foot, right? Even pressure across the surface of the foot the entire time. So you need to be really thinking about where the weight is on your foot. Toes or heels, it should be even. If you feel that you get on your toes, it's wrong. Okay? If you ever feel that was a decent rep, That one, you're forward, and then you have to lift your chest because the bar goes, see that when you go forward like that, the bar goes in front of the middle of your foot. So now there's all this leverage, and whatever you're lifting feels a hell of a lot heavier because the bar is now here and the center of balance is here. And so now you're on your toes, and your only option to save it from dumping it over your head is to lift your chest. And if you lift your chest, you kill your hip drive and you put a hell of a lot of stress on your low back. You're gonna smoke your spinal erectors squatting like this. And if you move on to deadlifting after that, you're gonna know it because like you're not gonna be able to pull your last warm up. Squatting and getting on your toes and then hip extension to get the bar up, lifting the chest, it fatigues the hell out of your low back and it carries over into your other lifts. So you have to keep that bar balanced over the middle of your foot. If it bounces forward, you're screwed. So slow it down. Let me watch your hip drive. Your knees are buckling in, right? Look at your knee position here, okay? You see how out they are, right? I can't see the other side, but if we look at this angle right here, and then when you start to go, look at that. Now your knee is going this way. It was like out here. So it was out here and they're just caving in. And again, they're caving in, you're going forward, and then it's all you trying to save this by just like lifting your chest instead of driving your butt up. Like you're just like, shit, I gotta save it. I'm gonna just do a back extension basically. See the knees? See the difference in the knees right there? Let me see if I can pause it. Okay, watch. I mean, you're doing a great job of shoving them out. Like they are out and wide, right? So, but just keep your eyes see, it totally just caves in. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay. Let's try that again. We'll just go deeper into the set because as you fatigue, look at that knee cave. You're going to see as you go up, this goes in this way and this knee buckles in this way. They just go like, psh. Let's watch. Pay attention to your knee. You see that? You can see with those black knee sleeves, you can see them just buckle in. They can't do that. They have to stay out hard. And all of this, again, once you're loose, you can't get tight again. So the fact that you may have been real tight at the top, but then when you drop that quickly, you loosened everything up. Your adductors loosened up, you slacked them, right? So even though you're shoving them out, they're not really tight because you're trying to go down so fast that when you need them to stay out, they're loose and they just flop in, okay? So again, think the main thing you need to fix right now is you need to slow down the descent and you need to think about stretching into the bottom of the rep. I'm gonna give you my favorite dude who I bring up like every time because his squat's so damn good. My man Josh, he's one of the starting strength coaches, great guy, but in my opinion just has like the perfect squat. And he's not weak either. And I believe he's coming back off an injury when he shot this. But look at the speed of his descent. Tight, look at that. Slow and then explodes up. Right now he's got more than 405. He's got like 415 on his back. So his ascent isn't going to be that explosive. But look at the tempo on the way down. Control. He's trying to keep that bar right in that slot over the middle of his foot. Okay? So that's your speed. That is all the issues that we're having are stemming from that first. So fix that, post up another video where you've slowed it down and controlled it, and then we'll see if some of these other problems just go away, like the knees caving in. Okay? Thank you for posting this. This is a good example of, falling too quickly and not staying tight on the way down. So the great news is once you slow it down and solve this problem and control the rep better, you're going to lift a hell of a lot more weight because it's going to be more efficient. That bar is going to stay right in that groove the whole time as opposed to like bouncing all over the place. So wherever you are strength-wise, fix this and you're gonna blow past old PRs, okay, brother? Thank you for posting. Work on it. Post up another video next week, week after, whenever you feel like you have it down, post it up and we'll go from there, okay? All right, see you soon, and we've got one more. All right, Paul, it's Brandon. I sent a squat for the first time a couple weeks back, but I wanted to share my progress on the deadlifts. I'm extremely pleased with how it's been going recently. The numbers on my deadlifts have been consistently on the rise. However, I'm always open to feedback, and any pointers you might have to further optimize my technique. Your expertise would be greatly appreciated. Thanks in advance. Great. I'm happy to hear things are going well. That's always fun. Enjoy it while it lasts, my man. Okay, let's take a look at Brandon. Stance looks good. Back is, oh, beautiful. Dude. Look at the back angle and the setting. Oh, right up the legs. This is a great way to end this Form Check Friday with just me having nothing to say. Look at that. I love it. I want to see your arch here. Look at that. Yeah. So he went from rounded to this nice, like this right here, this lumbar extension down here. He's just like, he's got a good example of like some guys just naturally have that, which I hate those guys because they're just naturally in this perfect back position. But Brandon he's very rounded right here, right? You can see it. Like before he sets his back, he looks like a turtle. And that's kind of, I can relate. I'm the same way. See, even when he's dropped his knees into position and his back is still very round, and he's going to do a great job of fixing that and arching it like that. So let's see. Okay. Good. Right up the legs. Very good lockout. Let me see if I can catch anything. You're not dropping your hips. It's great, man. Did you tell me how much this was? Is that 3 plates? 365? Let me see if I can determine that. Well, I think that's those. I can't tell how thick those 45s are, but it's either 225, 275, whatever. Okay, whatever it is, it looks great, man. Like, I got nothing for you. I think you're doing a great job. I don't know if you're using a hook. I guess we could talk about your grip. Looks like maybe you're hook gripping. Well, whatever you do and it's working, and if you have any issues hanging on to it, post up a question about grip and the deadlift and we can talk about it. But otherwise, keep on keeping on, man. You're killing it. Very nice work. Love to see what's going on. And I'd also love to know like more about the progress. Where'd you start? Where are you now? How's, with the other lifts too? Like any insight onto how this relates to where you've been and how long it took you to get there I'm just interested. So nice work, man. Thanks for posting. Thanks for the update. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, we did it again. We made it to the end of another Form Check Friday. Thank you guys. This was a long one, over an hour. And we will do this all again next week. Great work, everybody, particularly two of you guys who I've been hammering for a couple weeks, really dialed it in this week, and I couldn't be happier. So I will see you guys online, and we will do this all again at the next Form Check Friday. Have a good week.